On a freezing Sunday morning in 1970, a father and his two young daughters stumbled upon a body in Norway's Death Valley. She was burned beyond recognition. But the fire wasn't the strangest part. When police finally found her luggage, they discovered that every single identifying label on her clothes, her cosmetics, even her prescription cream had been meticulously sliced away. She was a ghost, and she had taken her secrets to the grave. Bergen, Norway, November 29th, 1970. The foothills of Ulriken Mountain. The area is known locally as Isdalen, the Ice Valley, but some locals call it Dødsdalen, Death Valley. When the police arrived at the scree where the body lay, they noted a bizarre scene. The woman was lying on her back, her hands clenched in a boxer's stance, a grim hallmark of fire victims. Her face and the front of her body were severely burned, but her back was untouched. Scattered around her were objects that seemed deliberately placed: a broken umbrella, 2 plastic water bottles, an empty bottle of Kloster liqueur, and a watch, stopped at 10 past 10. But there was no container for the petrol that had clearly been used to ignite the fire. 3 days later, the police caught a break. They found 2 abandoned suitcases in a locker at the Bergen railway station. A fingerprint on a pair of sunglasses inside matched the body in the valley. But when investigators opened the cases, the mystery only deepened. Inside were multiple wigs, non-prescription glasses with plain glass lenses, 5 different types of currency, and clothing. But every single label, every brand name, every identifying mark had been cut out or rubbed off. Even the patient information on a tube of eczema cream had been scraped away. This wasn't a hiker who got lost. This was someone who had gone to extreme, professional lengths to erase her existence. But she made one mistake. She left behind a notepad. The notepad didn't contain a diary. It contained columns of alphanumeric codes. While cryptographers worked on the cipher, the police tracked her movements through the hotels of Norway. They discovered she had stayed in multiple hotels, using at least 8 different names: Genevieve Lancier, Claudia Tielt, Fenella Lork. She always claimed to be Belgian, but the addresses she provided were fake. Hotel staff remembered her. She was elegant, spoke English with an accent, and occasionally used German phrases. And she was deeply paranoid. She constantly requested room changes, sometimes 3 times in a single stay. She pushed heavy furniture against her door at night, and she was seen dining near German naval officers, never speaking to them, but always watching. By the time the autopsy report arrived, the picture grew even darker. The Isdal woman hadn't just burned to death. She had ingested between 50 and 70 phenomol sleeping pills, a massive overdose. But the concentration in her blood showed she wasn't unconscious when the fire started. There was soot in her lungs. She was alive and breathing as she burned. The autopsy also found a bruise on the right side of her neck, suggesting a blow or a fall before she died. Despite this, on December 22, 1970, just 23 days after she was found, and before the final autopsy reports were even officially filed, the Bergen police chief held a press conference. He declared the case a probable suicide. He explicitly denied any evidence of espionage, and he shut the investigation down. Why the rush? This was 1970, the height of the Cold War. Norway shared a border with the Soviet Union. Bergen was an espionage hotbed. Just miles from where she traveled, the Norwegian military was conducting top-secret trials of the new Penguin anti-ship missile. A local fisherman even reported seeing her talking to a naval officer near the testing site. Decades later, the family of one of the original investigators revealed a dark secret. The local police were allegedly forced to drop the case after they uncovered connections to foreign intelligence. The cipher in her notebook was eventually cracked. It wasn't a diary. It was a meticulous travel itinerary, tracking her movements across Europe. Paris, Stavanger, Trondheim. The codes revealed she frequently returned to one specific location, marked only by the letter R. Investigators now believe R stood for Rome, a major hub for Cold War espionage and criminal syndicates.
In 2017, modern science finally gave her a voice. Isotope analysis of her jawbone revealed she was likely born around 1930, near Nuremberg, Germany, and raised near the French border. She wasn't a ghost, she was a real woman, born into the chaos of pre-war Europe, who lived a life of extraordinary deception. Was she a Soviet spy who knew too much? An Israeli Mossad agent? Or an international fraudster who finally met the people she was running from? We may never know her true name, but the Isdal Woman remains Europe's most famous unidentified person. A Cold War casualty resting in a zinc coffin in a Bergen cemetery, taking the truth of what happened in Death Valley to her grave.